last week, 2 businesses said to us, how do I adopt AI? How do I put AI in my business? And I think there's still a way to go to make it fun, to make it, it's not that hard. Like, just go and learn about it, read a book on it, go and do the research, ask ChatGPT or whatever it is that you're going to use to steer you in the right direction, and just get comfortable.
Yeah. It is a challenge for a lot of businesses because it's a people problem. It's not a tech problem. So we've had some clients who, if someone walks behind them, they alt-tab out of the application in case someone sees that they're using ChatGPT, and then they're on a spreadsheet or something like that. It's like a dirty word, even though they've paid for it for everyone in the organisation. And it's because they feel guilty about not doing the work themselves. They feel that it's like, oh, AI is kind of helping me. But we train that it's, don't think of it that way. Like, no one feels guilty about doing a spell check or a grammar check in.
Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea, where we unpack all things influence and we help leaders particularly find their influence by talking to amazing humans and finding out what influence means to them, who they've been influenced by and who they have influenced. And this podcast episode, proudly sponsored by the Guinea Group of companies. The Guinea Group helps leaders upgrade, upskill, uplift their teams and their influence. Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea. Thanks for joining us wherever you get your podcasts, whether you're listening or whether you are viewing. An amazing guest today. Because I say amazing because Neo's in the AI space, and we've already had an AI developer on Neo, and that person is developing some really cool AI, and I think you'd love Eric's podcast. But team today is Neo. Neo is a Melbourne-based generative AI leader. I love that. Keynote speaker and technology transformation advisor who helps organizations turn AI from a buzzword into measurable productivity, innovation, and customer experience gains. With more than 20 years of experience spanning technology leadership. Wow. Product development and advisory work, Neo is known for bridging strategy and execution, translating complex technical capability into practical ways of working that teams can adopt quickly. And I love this word, safely and with confidence. Today, Neo is part of Inventium's AI capability as the head of AI. So that's really cool. You're really heading up the change where you focus on scalable Gen AI adoption and implementation.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where a lot of the companies are at the moment, and people are at. Like, they've got ChatGPT or Copilot, but no one shows you how to use these things. And it's a bit like a baby. It doesn't come with a manual either. So it's a big challenge.
Oh, I love it, the challenge. So Neo, in saying that, we don't get an operations manual with our AI. Question is, and I love that you talked about safety, because we don't get an operations manual. Do you feel like we've got like an AI or a people sort of mentality, and sometimes AI might not consider the personal approach? Is that and how do we sort of line that up? Is that some of the work you're doing?
Yeah, that's part of it. One of the challenges that we have as people is we don't know how to deal with it, and we've been trained in different ways. One is we've been trained by Google, and we've been trained with like 5 or 6 keywords. I throw it in there. I'm effectively yelling at Google, like, I don't know, best email service, blah, 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 2025. It's like caveman speak. Best email service. So you get that, and then you get a response. And so then if we use that technique with ChatGPT or Copilot, you get a pretty crap response. You go, this is annoying and it doesn't work. And then you argue with it a lot. So some people are here, and the other people are very people, and they'll then deal with AI like a person. So I'm doing this and blah, 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 and I got this, and it's my best friend, and I've got to given it a name, and its name's Julia, and Julia helps me with all my things. But then sometimes you trust Julia a little bit too much where you shouldn't be trusting Julia. So, and the continuum is there. So these are the two ends, and neither are right, neither are wrong. It's more about what you're trying to get out of it, and then the best way to work with AI for what you're trying to get out of it.
Love it. It's beautifully put. And I've been on both ends. I've had a few arguments with AI, but I also use please and thank you. So I'm sort of a bit respectful. So I really get that now. That's funny.
Yeah, and the please and thank you is not a problem, by the way. It's actually, they say you don't need to, and I agree in a certain way. Like, do you go into Excel and say, can you please add 2 plus 2? No, you don't, right? And AI is just a machine like Excel is, so you don't need to say please and thank you. But we do put that in there, and we do kind of give it a persona in that respect. The magic word you shouldn't say is can. So can you please? Don't say that. And the reason for that is you'll actually get a slightly worse response because it wonders, I don't know, can I? I don't know if I can do that. And so, yeah, don't ask it can, just go, please do this if you have to do it, or just even better, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, please do this. Yeah, right. Oh, for all our viewers and listeners, that's really cool. Cool advice. Just don't use the word can in AI and you'll get a better result. There you go. It's worth listening already. Thank you, Neo. Love your work. Now, Neo, here's something I want to bounce off you just from an influence perspective. And, the more I use AI, the more I think my communication improves. And I know, right? Isn't that a weird thing to say? Because I use it probably hourly during the workday. Like I'm really getting proficient, let's say, at, could you do this with this? And this is the slant, and this is the content or the context, but this is the content that I want to produce. Could you please, fill out this for me or do this or make that for me? And I'm finding the clearer I am, the better result that I get, of course.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I wonder whether that's going to translate into my leadership so that I actually am a better communicator with humans out of that.
No, you're absolutely right. And absolutely key to what you're talking about here, which is what we say is, because we do AI training, and one of the things I say is put up your hand if you're already managing people, and obviously it's about 20% of people put their hand up. And then the joke is everyone else put your hand up. And the reason for that is you are now a boss of AI. AI is your new employee. And just like you're saying, Anton, you need to work with AI like you would any other employee. I need you to do this. Here's what good looks like. Here's what I want you to do. All those kind of things you need to put in to your discussion with AI so that you get something that's decent out. And these are the kind of things that we as leaders already do naturally. We don't really think about it. But for those who are not managing people, it's a new skill. And they need to learn that when they use AI.
And I wonder, even the leaders that do it well, I wonder whether, I feel like my communication's improving. So I wonder whether it's actually going to help leaders if they're willing to spend that time. Most are too fast paced and just get it in and get it. I wonder whether there is an improvement opportunity. Anyway.
I think you're right in that AI gives you that immediate feedback. Whereas ordinarily we are usually, email warriors for a lot of corporates. You shoot off an email to someone and do the thing and whatever. And maybe I haven't given you enough information, but they'll read between the lines and guess. And then I might make a value judgment on whether Stephen actually is awesome or Stephen is bad because of what he guessed. But of course, it may be my email that is the problem, not Stephen. But here with AI, I'm getting an immediate feedback. And of course, I can't blame it on Stephen because it's only AI. I can only blame it on myself so that I'm more likely to get that right. So I think you're right. People will improve their comms and, what good looks like, or what I'm trying to achieve, a bit more background. And that's one of the things we train on because without that context, background, good looks like, you're going to get a crap result.
Beautifully put. Thank you so much. Well said. That's really clarified some thinking for me. Thank you so much. Now let's talk about the Neo Aplin story, which I think is going to be intriguing. I've got a son who's a developer, Neo.
Oh yeah,
so
very cool.
I love seeing his journey.
Yeah.
Now,
I kind of started off in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So who influenced you? How did you end up in that line of work?
Oh God, I fell into it. I think a lot of people in their 20s are a bit lost. I started off with, I went to university as doing chemical engineering, and I got there and I was completely lost. I was enjoying some of the learning, other bits I wasn't. I'm a bit of a generalist, and that's why I picked chemical engineering. It's a bit of a generalist degree kind of thing, like a bit of chemistry, a bit of maths, a bit of science, a bit of this, a bit of that. But I didn't find my homeland there, and then I ended up coming out with actually a degree in economics, and then I found out what an economist does. I was like, I love the learning, but I don't want to become an economist. Um, and fell into a grad role where they said, look, we need a database. We're going to do it in a spreadsheet, but yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it? And of course, that's not. And then I taught myself database programming and databases and then programming and all those kind of things, kind of worked my way up. And I think a lot of people are like that. There's not one career. Um, but yeah, development's it's very much a core skill for all of us now, even though you may not be a developer. What I mean by that is the logic that you need to learn with development. Okay, I've got to do this, then I've got to do that, and then here's all the different ins and outs. These are the same core skills that we need to have with a lot of the stuff we do with work. Like there's always a workflow that we need to do, or there's a process at work we need to do. The same kind of thinking really applies whether you're a programmer or you're just managing stuff within a workflow at work. Same kind of thing with AI as well. Like you need to say, how do I need to do it? What's the best way to do it? Is there anything I'm missing? All those kind of things. So these kind of core skills, they're great for everyone, whether you're a developer or not.
That core skills, there's core skills of the IT development thinking will set you up for success in business.
Yeah, and you don't need to be a programmer to do that. It's more like what am I trying to achieve? What does good look like? What are the edge cases? Because everyone always plans the sunny day scenario where customer puts in an email that everyone understands, and then of course it goes through the ticketing system beautifully, and then it goes through to the end of the sales department who then put in an order and it works beautifully. But then of course, what happens if the email is weird? What happens if someone's on leave? You got to figure out where do these things break, and having that inquisitive what if mindset, the developers need to have all these good ones. That's the kind of thing that we all have if we're managing stuff within our workflows and businesses. So yeah, it's a great core skill set for
I
everyone.
love it. How could this system break? I love that. That is such a cool statement and such a cool question to ask yourself. How could this system break? And then you can sort of reverse engineer, as they say. Well, this is the breakage point or the weak point. What do we do to fix that? So that and where's the next one? Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing with working with AI. Like if you're working with, say, ChatGPT and things like that, it will agree with you a lot. Like it thinks you're the smartest person in the world. It'll be like, oh, Anton, great question.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
you're right.
Yeah, it does. But you can work with it to say, what else am I missing? You can work with it on other things that can go wrong with this. Where's the risks in these kind of things? And am I doing something that's potentially going to screw up down the track? It can help you with those kind of things if you ask it to. If you don't, of course, it's going to go, you're awesome, and follow the path you want to go down.
And I think you're right. I think it could quite easily give you the answer you're looking for without really challenging your thinking. And I think that's important. That's an important consideration when you are using AI. Oh, well said. What about and I guess your parents? But have you since you started in this? Who's been the biggest influence on your life? And like who do you look to and go, you know what, geez, I'm glad they're in my life.
Yeah, well, my parents were big in this. So they were primary school teachers back in the day, before they retired. And my dad, he was now he's, as you get older, you don't really want to keep up with every single thing, although he's trying to. So he's on Gemini and playing around with all that stuff. But back in the day, he had a network computer between two schools in '86. Like no one did this kind of stuff. He had Wi-Fi in his networks at his schools. Mum also quite up to date on these things. But anyway, back when I was a kid, they thought, look, computers are going to be a thing, and we want to make sure that our kids are okay with computers. So I had a computer in the house from 1980. I'm showing my age. And it was a secondhand TRS-80. No one knows what they are. But I learned to program on that thing from the age of 6. And they were terrible programs, right? But I wasn't scared of it. And I think that what's going to come next, let's make sure that our kids are not scared with those kind of things, was a really solid starting point. And just the what ifs could be put in there. And both my parents are awesome for those kind of things. Like, what if this? We could do that. Why not? That sounds like the good thing. Give it a shot. And that's been part of my inquisitive nature all the way through, I suppose. Yeah.
Wow. Off tab. the age of 6, you were playing with computers. No one in our age group, you sound like you're a 74 baby. I'm a 72 model. Jeepers creep.
Yeah, 75, baby. Yep.
75.
Mhm.
Gosh.
Mm.
Never even, 1980, I hadn't heard of a computer till like 1990. Or I probably had, but gee, that's amazing that you've got such a history with just technology. Good on mum and dad for setting you up for success. So they're
Yeah,
influenced.
but I think it's that sense of play as well. Like, there's nothing you can really do wrong with generally computers. Like, if it, ultimately, if you totally screw it up, you can just reinstall it. So it's a bit of a hassle, but you can go to Google and ChatGPT. It'll help you through those things. And the great thing about ChatGPT is, and Copilot and the others, like, if you screw that up, that's fine. You just go new chat. So that sense of play is a wonderful thing to have.
Sense of play. I like that. And then that takes the fear out of it, eh? Because you talked about before as a kid, let's not allow our children to be fearful of tech. But what about our adults too, Neo? There's plenty of adults. And you said to your parents, the first thing you defaulted to was they're not scared of tech. They're early adopters. But I think there's still AI is still such a long way from, being adopted in organizations. Last week, 2 businesses said to us, "How do I adopt AI? How do I put AI in my business?" And I think there's still a way to go to make it fun, to make it's not that hard. Like, just go and learn about it, read a book on it, go and do the research, ask ChatGPT or whatever it is that you're going to use to steer you in the right direction. Just get comfortable.
Yeah, it is a challenge for a lot of businesses because it's a people problem. It's not a tech problem. This is a people problem. Because you've now got this wonderful, amazing staff member called Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever it is, but it's a little bit unreliable. It's a little bit sycophantic, and we don't know how to work with it yet at a one-on-one level, but also at an organization level. It's a bit harder to figure out how are we going to get the benefits from this extra $30 a month or whatever it is we're paying for it. And so this is where that acclimation, that training is really important at an organization level. Obviously, you were talking, leaders, and we're talking about, people within organizations who have the influence over the rest of the organization. Your listeners are the key people within the organizations, because it's like setting the norms on, here's how I use it. You could use it this way too. It's okay to use it. It's not cheating. So we've had some clients who, if someone walks behind them, they alt tab out of the application in case someone sees that they're using ChatGPT, and then they're on a spreadsheet or something like that. It's like a dirty word, even though they're paid for it for everyone in the organization. And it's because they feel guilty about not doing the work themselves. They feel that it's like, oh, AI is kind of helping me. But we train that don't think of it that way. Like, no one feels guilty about doing a spell check or a grammar check in Word. This is the same. You should be using it as a buddy to ideate with, just like you would anyone else, and feel no shame in doing that. But the leaders are really important here to be able to say, here's how we can do it. Here's how we can fit it within our workload. No one's going to listen their job on this. This is actually to help you to get rid of the boring stuff, so you get more time to do the stuff that really matters within your job. And that's a leader job, to settle that kind of stuff down and make everyone feel comfortable. Sometimes you bring in external trainers, like we do those kind of things, but we can't help with that day-to-day stuff where leaders set the goals and help people through.
Beautifully put. And I think that the challenge that we're finding, and that some of the work we're doing now, Neo, is really with leaders who struggle to have the leadership conversations that you had. But you got to remember that a technology won't consider emotion, won't consider empathy, won't consider the impact. Sack 30 people. Well, hold on a sec. Let's put some people stuff over the top of this. And that we're really focusing on leaders and working with them to make people calls with technology. It's not one or the other. They're both sort of part of the bigger game. So,
and that's the way it should be. This is a people augmentation tool, in my opinion, rather than a people replacement.
Augmentation. I love that word. I love that. Thank you so much. It's such great conversation. So you talked about influence and the work that you're doing in the training space, because training is influence. What's the definition of influence for you? What do you when I say influence, when you say influence, what do you mean? What's the definition then?
Yeah, I should have prepped for this one because I know you asked this question. Yeah, so within this space, I think there's different ones, because I think that there's leaders need to influence, which is first off with AI, that it's okay to use it. Other things is how you can, we can together become better with AI rather than, us against AI and Oz growth. It's just a tool like anything else. Like no one would say, do not use the internet, I'm scared. It's like, no, how do we use the internet to help our jobs? Those kind of things. AI is just the same as that. To be able to influence it to be something we can try, something we can work with, and something we share together. Because if you and I are working together, Anton, the way you do something will be different the way I do. But if you see, hey, I did this report and here's how I used AI, it was amazing. Chances are that'll really help me in my job, because I'll have a similar kind of report that I need to work with AI. So the kind of sharing, that normalization of it, and that influencing of that throughout the organization, so
nice. So what I heard was leaders need influence, and influence for you, particularly in this space, is being better together. So there'll be some languaging around. There'll be some, I guess, vision types, mission stuff. Better together. So in other words, we're all going on this journey together.
Yeah, it is a shared journey. It's also normalizing behavior. So in other words, it's good to use it. And I'll show you how I've used AI rather than me scared alt-tabbing in case everyone sees me use it. And so for leaders, it's influencing by demonstrating. And so, hey, I put this thing together and I used AI and here's how I used it. So I was working with it on, am I missing anything? I'm also working with it on this paragraph here. I hated the language on the paragraph there. So I got it to help me fix up some language on that paragraph. And then I got it to do a final check at the end, and I did some tweaks after that. That's how I used AI. And here's the report.
Love it. And that's the knowledge.
So then people see. Yeah. So it's really making it normalizing the use of that tool and showing how people can use it within that workspace.
Love it. Love it. Have you got someone that you're so proud of? So someone that you've seen adopt it, Neo, like have you got a case study where and it might be someone in your organization, not a client business, where you go, you know what, I've seen this person, and I'm thinking more about, maybe some of your leadership too. Have you seen anyone grow and develop and you thought, wow, I've been able to influence that human?
Every day. We see so many of these wonderful stories from like it's common. We have I don't know, probably 50% of people who come to our courses, like we've played with AI, but don't really feel that confident with it. And this is really normal because AI is such a new thing. And heck, you couldn't use it 2 years ago in work environments that much because it wasn't terribly reliable. It was great with words, but not awesome with facts and things like that. So this is new. And so we find there's always a few people coming into our courses who are like, I'm scared for my job. What does this mean for me? I don't really want to use it. What am I? And they walk out of it going, I love this. This is great. It'll then do all the stuff that I don't want to do and help me with those kind of things so I can spend more time doing the stuff that I do want to do. So I've got those kind of people, which we love. There's also others. I spoke to a client yesterday from a really large insurance company, and he's quite high up there. And he said, Neo, I think this is a good thing. I haven't referred to the notes from the training session once, but I and all the team are all, we're using it more than we ever were before. We're getting better results out of it. We had a meeting the other day and we said, hang on, why are we doing this meeting? AI should have just done the research for us instead of this meeting. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So they're saving time. And I love that kind of stuff. We're finding that all the time. So people getting better results, faster results, those kind of things is a common thing we work on.
Better results and faster results. Now, what is the skill? Like I know that you say it's training, but how do you change mindsets now? Is it all of the stuff that you've said as a leader? You know, you're demonstrating it, or it maybe I've probably asked that question already. It's normalizing it, it's demonstrating it, it's making it fun, it's sharing the knowledge, it's better together, and those you're able to communicate that all in a one-day training session, for example.
Yeah, we do that, but also leaders do that as
Mhm.
well. Because this is a different transformation than we've traditionally had. Like back in the day, I feel old, where it's like digital transformation. Like we had this, and everyone would go, "Okay, we've got a new, I don't know, CRM, so a customer relationship management system. So we're going to put in Salesforce or something like that." Okay, great. So we go, what do we have? We had this old crappy one, and then we'll do some training on what Salesforce is going to be, and we'll migrate all the data over, blah, 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 blah. We do a whole bunch of training, and then ta-da, we're now on Salesforce, and then we're kind of done, right? Because we're now using Salesforce, right? This is different in that the change is going to be ongoing. These tools are going to improve and change over time. So this is now an ongoing change. Well, it's a challenge, but it could also be seen as an ongoing change, fun exercise in that where there is no one and done. ChatGPT is only going to get better. Copilot's only going to get better. Like the thing we joke is the AI you're using today is going to be the worst AI you use for the rest of your life. And when you put it like that, it's improving all the time, which means, but yeah, come back to it tomorrow, it's going to be a bit different. It's going to be a bit, there's something else in there. And so having I wonder what that does. And, oh, did you know that it does this, and share with people? It becomes a fun, interesting part of your day, as well as helps you get stuff done.
Absolutely. I've written a book on AI, and I'm about to write a couple more. Actually, no, I can't. There's one that I'm writing now that I can't write on AI, sadly, because I've got too many personal stories. But yeah, I'm going to write the book on influence using AI. All of these conversations get transcribed, a summary, and I'm going to try and I'm going to use AI, turn this into something that people can use. Well, I know, right? I know. So, there's so many applications for AI around organizations and businesses. I thank you for sharing. Now, and I think we probably touched on it as well. The next question I was going to ask you was about leadership. Um, Let's go back in your early days. What did before you were in AI? What did a good leader look like? Like when you first started, and someone said, "Yeah, Excel's like data, like Access can't be that hard. Just make it happen." You go, really? Like what's good leadership look like and feel like to you?
Yeah, there was one leader in particular who made a big impact on me. It was a manager when I was a grad, and his name is Peter Haas, and I've lost contact with him and tried to reach out to him. If he hears this, love to be in contact with you again, mate. He was the epitome of a leader for me. Now, we're working on a really big project. It was building the largest radio network in the Southern Hemisphere at the time in South Australia, and Telstra was doing this, and they were doing it with the South Australian government. And it was a massive undertaking. It was for the first time getting a radio network with pages so that the police can talk to the fireys who can talk to the ambos in an emergency. So fantastic stuff. But it meant so much engagement and organization with all of these different companies and government departments and whatnot. And everyone had their own agendas, obviously, because they really wanted to make sure they were looking after their teams and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes had conflicts. But his thing was, we can sort this out if we're gut to gut. And that was his mantra, effectively. In other words, if we just stand up there, we work together, face each other with respect and honesty and integrity, we can get this stuff done. And from my very early days, that to me was the epitome of leadership.
Be gut to gut.
Gut to gut. Yeah. It also helped he had a little bit of being as well. So, but it was all about that, just showing up as yourself so that you can actually get this stuff done together. And he did such a great job at it because we were actually working so well as a team after he kind of came through and worked on things.
We call it eyeball to eyeball, but I love the gut to gut. I'm going to use it. That's quite cool. I love it. Thank you so much. So really, Peter's impact on you. You used the word impact before, and I don't think so many of these influence podcasts include the word impact or inspiration, which is really interesting. But the impact was, and it still sits with you now, let's just get in a room and work through it together.
Yeah, absolutely. And not shy away from the hard conversations, but actually say, how could we together get these things done? Rather than you versus me, it's you and me.
Not you versus you and me. Wow. Powerful. I love that. And you've had a good leader when you can remember them 20 or 30 years later. So cool. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Now, Neo, last couple of questions. So what would you say to leaders out there? What's your mantra, what's your message in one or two bullet points, who might be struggling with technology at the moment, who maybe haven't got a business that's technologically integrated or tech friendly, for example? What's the sales pitch or the elevator pitch, mate, for them?
Yeah, I'll answer this from the perspective of AI because that's where we're at. Like Inventium AI, that's our bag. It's okay to be at the start of the journey. Is the first thing. There is no behindness. There is no. I guess companies are faster than others. That's all cool, but it's not too late. It's not like you've missed the boat and you can't catch up or anything like that. It's about getting good advice. Because the companies that just go, we're going to buy Copilot, whatever it is, for everyone and just install it and go, they're the ones who don't get the benefits out of it. So think about it, plan for it, and take your workforce on that journey, but also lead from the front. So one of the things we do is we do immersions with leadership teams and boards and things like that. So it's like you can understand what this thing is, what it does, where it works, where it doesn't work, and then how to roll this out in your organization. And it's really important for the leaders to know what the thing is first, rather than we don't know what it is, but I've read an article, so we'll just implement it. So make sure you, as a leadership team, you're really comfortable with it and you understand what this thing is, and then plan your rollout with your people. Take them on that journey rather than here's the tool and just have it. And so part of that might be you do online training, or you might do face-to-face training, or you might say like we've got like a change leaders program. We help, so you've got those people peppering around your business can then help the people, all those kind of things. But it's really a whole of organization thing that you really can help take your organization on. But it is a together thing, and it does need to be quite a planned thing as well. But you're also not too late. It's now's the time. The tools are really mature enough to start working with them.
Absolutely, and we probably all should be, working with them. Great stuff, mate. Great stuff. So, thank you so much for our listeners and viewers. Just a massive thanks to Neo Aplin, Inventium AI. Beautiful stuff. So much great information. Neo, one question that I always ask our podcast guests, and this is the very last question, is do you know anyone? Or if you did, who do you think the right person would be to be on the podcast next, and who could you introduce us to? And you don't have to give me a name now. We'll send you an email as a closeout. But if you could think of someone that you think might be great to talk to, that would be super.
Yeah. One person in particular who I don't know if you get it because she's flat out all the time, but she's amazing. Elise Baillieu. So Elise, she runs Mindful in May and a bunch of other things as well. But in particular, Mindful in May, I think, is an exceptional program and something that I've been trying to do more of, which is meditation, but it's also meditation with a cause that she does. Okay. So how do we as leaders kind of center ourselves? We're okay with ourselves. We've then got time for ourselves, because if we can't show up for ourselves, no way in hell we can show up for our team members and things like that. So she runs Mindful in May, and it's a great program. If people haven't checked it out, do that. And she's a wonderful, wonderful human being as well. So I highly recommend you, if you can, get Elise, because she's busy as hell. She's amazing. And Mindful in May is also really great as well. So Mindful in May, but also Elise is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Now, I really I feel like I'm just educated this morning.
Thanks, Anton. It's been great chatting to
you. It is always. I love these. This is You're number 2 of 3 today. So I've got coaching next. I've got to work with a leader next who's going to be in the office soon, and then another session this afternoon. Spoke to an amazing human this morning called Philip DeBella. So DeBella Coffee. Okay. I know, right? So started this amazing coffee brand, and now it's got the coffee coming in. Unbelievable. I'm just so lucky that I get to have these great conversations now, and that people like you are willing to come on and share their story. And, views are going up now. The better quality human. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Can you please edit that out, editors? Yeah. The more conversations that we have, the more views we're getting, which is really, really cool. So, yeah, it's starting to get out there. So thank you again, and you're part of that. Thank you for listening or viewing our Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea. Another great chat. Please be one of the 10% of people who follow and subscribe and like our videos, so that you can get more of them and you can hear more of our amazing conversations, the conversations that I get to have and that I get to share.